Real Country Variety, 100.1 and 1140 AM KXRB. That is music from Conway Twitty. We are at 8:47. Andy and Christine in the morning on this Wednesday morning. And now we have a special guest with us, Craig Anderson, the president of the South Dakota Pork Producers Council. Craig, thanks for being here this morning.
Well, good morning, and thanks for having me on.
No, Craig, this is so important and vital to talk about what the Pork Producer Council is going through during this COVID-19 pandemic. So let's just start off giving a little bit of information. So the pork producers estimate that thousands of pigs are processed at facility plants per day. The Smithfield plant in Sioux Falls did temporarily shut down their operations in April after an outbreak of over 1,000 cases. It was absolutely devastating, to say the least, for pork producers. But did you or other pork producers ever imagine something like this happening? Like, how has everyone reacted to that closure?
Well, this is something that none of us ever dreamed would happen. We just have never seen anything like this before, and for this to happen at this time when we're pretty well at maximum production is really devastating, like you say.
Yeah, absolutely. And Craig, going off of that, Governor Kristi Noem obviously recently signed that executive order to help South Dakota's pork producers as the industry is really facing that impact of COVID-19, as you said. Now, this executive order, it was on April 21st. It removes overstocking restrictions on some of the pork producers. Producers, they now have some flexibility in the states and county regulatory obligations, which is obviously necessary for their operations and care for these animals. So how does this executive order, Craig, help pork producers and the pork industry as a whole?
Well, part of what it does is, since you have to go get state permits and things like that, is that you generally have to give them how many numbers of the head that you have on hand and what size and everything. And when we get pushed out of those parameters and we get backed up like what we have, then the problem is, what do you do with the pigs that are coming right behind? Well, like for Sioux Falls, it's been 3 days that it was closed. So just imagine it got backed up. And so now we had to overstock some of the places where you could, because if you were full of market-ready pigs, there's no way that you can overstock that. If you had half a barn full, then you could make overstock by sliding them together and then bringing new pigs, a smaller size in, and then putting a larger number in like half of a building. But that isn't an ideal situation, but at least it gave us a little bit more flexibility that when we're going to be outside of the normal animal numbers that we'd have.
If you're just joining us, Craig Anderson, the president for South Dakota Pork Producer Council, is on the line with us. Now, the Sioux Falls Smithfield plant did just reopen its doors after weeks of shutting down production. And, you know, Craig, farmers and producers, they have been through a lot of hardships over the last few years with flooding, tornadoes, an early snow bomb cyclone in the fall, and then a pandemic. How has this soft opening of Smithfields helped the pork producers, helping Feeding America, and just describing this importance for us?
Well, it's given us a little bit more hope that things will eventually get back to normal. They're still only running about half speed, or about half the animals that they could be harvesting. So we really need them to get up to full speed as soon as what we can. But like you say, with everything that's been going on and when it had been shut that long, at least this is a little bit of a bright spot for us.
Thank you, Craig Anderson, for joining us this morning. If you want to hear more in-depth details about the South Dakota Pork Producers Council during the COVID-19 pandemic, you can listen to Craig on Sunday Focus this Sunday on all 7 Results Radio Town Square media stations. Craig, thank you so much.
Thanks, Craig.
Well, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. We'll get back here with Sarah Evans on KXRB.
For 98 years, Sturdivant